Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Gorilla Press. I'm Lucas Jackson. I'm joined by Champagne Charlie, the co-host, of course, of this. Hello, Charlie.
Thank you for having me. The idol of the barmaids here once again. So.
We'll get that hashtagged. So a lot of stuff to talk about. A few little bits and pieces to talk about. We're going to be later on. We'll be talking about matches for Wrestle Kingdom. We'll also have some information and news about Rey Mysterio saying when he wants to retire. And, of course, we were talking about AEW and NXT ahead of the Wednesday night wars. I don't want to be saying that word, but, you know, wrestling fans.
It's basically what they're calling it now, though, isn't it, officially?
I know.
So, yeah.
I know. It's daft, though. But we'll get to that later on, as well as news about AEW wanting a UK tour and a video game. God, they don't want much, do they? Starting things off, of course, with the fallout from Monday Night Raw and some information about the Survivor Series. That's taking place
and from AEW, we have the fallout from Full Gear, basically. So
indeed, so it's quite a busy, populous week. And look, and talking of busy weeks, it looks like next week will be a busy week for WWE as they've announced two huge title matches that could have Survivor Series implications. They're both taking place on Monday Night Raw. The first of which is for the WWE Championship, and that will see Drew McIntyre get his rematch against Randy Orton, and the Raw Tag Team titles on the line as the New Day defend against the Hurt Business, represented by Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. And so, of course, Survivor Series literally that weekend. Are they going to be daft enough to have a title change, particularly of the main championship?
Well, here's the thing. It's not the first time they've done that. I mean, if you remember a couple of years ago, originally it was supposed to be Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar. And then, was it about a week or 2 weeks beforehand, they had him drop it to AJ Styles, that kind of thing. So it's not unheard of for them to change the champion at a last-minute thing, is it? So,
is it something they're going to do to Randy Orton? I mean, Jinder wasn't really working and...
People are going to hate me for this. I actually quite like the Jinder thing because it was new. You know what I mean? And they gave someone else a chance to run with the ball. The reason why I think they might do it is because it's Randy Orton is heel and so is Roman Reigns. So it's very rare to have a heel versus heel match going into a big pay-per-view like this. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. And I mean, I think fitting into a narrative of them wanting to build Randy Orton's title reigns up. Like he could lose it and then win it back again to
exactly. So
his 15th title run. So potential, but it's a huge match though for Monday Night Raw. Also about Survivor Series, Matt Riddle, now known as just Riddle, he has joined the men's Survivor Series team.
That does suck. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you do get used to it. I mean, Big E used to have a Langston on the end of his name, and we got used to it.
I remember, but still, yeah.
Yeah, well, Riddle now, he has joined the men's Survivor Series team for Raw.
So Raw has a full team.
SmackDown still have one spot to be confirmed. They haven't confirmed how they're going to be doing that. At the moment, for Team Raw, you've got Captain, say it loosely, AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, Keith Lee, Riddle, and Sheamus.
Quite an opposing team, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think so too.
And also, I'm pretty sure AJ Styles will have that new bodyguard of his with him.
Yes, the unnamed bodyguard. Massive.
You seen the size of that guy? Honestly,
huge.
Yeah.
That's all coming out of Raw. I think quite exciting week ahead for WWE. Two huge title matches. I'm assuming SmackDown might do something too. Obviously, that's still to be confirmed.
Normally, when they want to get one final spot, they usually do like a multi-man match, like something like a triple threat or a fatal four-way thing to fill that last spot. That kind of. It's normally something like that anyway. So, but we shall see when what happens on SmackDown this week.
Talking of the Thunderdome, we've got a little snippet here where WWE are looking to stay in Florida, but are looking to move to St. Petersburg to the Tropicana Field as their contract with the Amway Center runs out on the 24th of November. So they are looking to stay in Florida for another residency, bringing the Thunderdome set and everything with them.
So it'll be a similar sort of setup, basically, won't it? So.
Yes. But it's interesting they stay in Florida though, because I think it is just a case now where, particularly with, again, we're not political podcast here, I have to say,
No,
but
of course not.
what's going on in the States at the moment, with who may be going into power or maybe losing power over there, they may not get the leeway they need to be able to move out of Florida, I think. So I think it's the case of it's this or nothing at all, really. Anyway, we're going to move on now. We'll talk about Rey Mysterio. So Rey Mysterio has made some recent comments this week regarding when he might potentially retire. So I'm going to, there's a quote here and a story here, so we're going to give it the time it needs. So basically, he's come up to 30 years in the business now. And he's made some quotes of saying that basically, he's going to be 45 in December. And I don't see myself going past 50.
And he started wrestling when he was about 15 or something like that, didn't he? But yeah,
very young, very young. He's admitted that his body feels great right now. He's doing a new method of therapy. And obviously at the moment it seems that he's wrestling almost part-time in WWE. He's not obviously on all the time, so I guess that helps.
And he's training his son mostly as well, isn't he? So
yeah, and the other takeaway from that is that he said that he would love to retire in WWE. He's quoted, "Once you enter here, you can't go any higher than this. This is where I've always envisioned myself finishing my career." So perhaps there goes the AEW rumors.
Yeah,
in one fell swoop.
I didn't ever see Rey Mysterio going over to AEW. I could see him maybe doing one or two more matches back in Mexico, for the AAA, but because it's a hometown thing, But that's about it. That's about it in general, really.
I've always kind of thought that if he might be able, but he's got the leeway, got the leverage with WWE, he might be able to have a thing where he can maybe have a retirement tour where it encompasses a couple of Mexican appearances, a couple of appearances maybe in the United Kingdom, and then obviously finally retire at a WrestleMania because, he's big enough to kind of do that. But interesting that he mentioned the 50 word because, 50, Chris Jericho just turned 50. He's still very much wrestling. We've had obviously Sting, Undertaker, wrestle in their 50s as well. And
there are some who can pull off, and sadly there are some who can't. Yeah,
yes.
not dropping any names, but there we go. Yeah.
But it's interesting you mentioned that number. I guess obviously, it's something which obviously is coming up for him, and he feels that, that'll be when he wants to retire. But I think it's good to know that he feels he's got definitely a few years left in him.
Yeah,
so it kind of any immediate retirement.
Yeah, the sad thing is, in this business of wrestling, we all have to try and pay attention to our own mortality. You know what I mean? We our bump cards. So we are. And Rey Mysterio seems to know what he's doing when it comes to that.
Yeah, look, I think end of the day now he's wrestling part-time, and he's doing less of the riskier stuff that he was known for, back in the day. I mean, honestly, people, if you get a chance to get a network day, get a chance to view Rey Mysterio matches from WCW and ECW from the 90s, and you will be absolutely astounded at the stuff that he was pulling off 25 years ago. But obviously now he's getting much safer. I think, 5 more years, I think that'll be a right time. He's got Dominic obviously in the company too. But we're going to move on though from that, and obviously moving now on to AEW. And so before we go into our Wednesday Night War segment, we're going to talk about AEW and a lot of stuff coming out of them. But Cody in particular and Tony Khan, they both this week kind of dangled a carrot, I guess, for the UK, where they said about they would love to come to the UK.
Carrot.
I don't know how to phrase it really, because it's kind of like,
at the moment, but they've left something there for us to try and sink our teeth into, basically.
Yeah, at the moment, obviously, with no events taking place, it's kind of hard. It's kind of easy for them to go, we're running a show in the UK.
Basically, post-pandemic base, I think they're talking, that kind of thing.
When things settle down.
Here's the thing, right? Well, obviously, because AEW have the deal with ITV4, that kind of thing. The numbers for ITV4 for AEW are big. My best friend has told me that he watches it every single week, and so they want to try and like what WWE do with the UK. They want to try and keep their UK fan base, and the only way to do that when the pandemic ends is by touring.
It would be interesting to see how they do it, because when WWE do it, they have the live event and the TV, so they're able to come over here for a week and kind of do a few cities and do a tour. With AEW
Yeah,
not doing like live events, like it'd be interesting how they do it. Would they maybe have a residency over here for a few weeks, perhaps?
possibility.
Or would they have a pay-per-view over here, perhaps potentially? I think they'd have to do something different. I think.
It's a possibility. Yes. Also, the announce of the AEW. Actually, the announcement's supposed to be tonight about the AEW games. So
Yes. I mean, we're jumping on a little bit, but they have talked about it a lot. So it's not like it's something which is completely kind of in our minds. But I'm
yeah,
excited for it. I think it'll be interesting because WWE obviously have had no competition with this
nah,
for many years, and obviously the 2K series, met a kind of untimely end for now, anyway, at least with 2K20. But the
yeah.
sales for these games are phenomenal, though. People forget the sales are
Still, yeah,
massive.
absolutely.
So, if AEW can get a chunk of that, I think that could be quite lucrative for them going forward.
We shall see more details soon.
Well, AEW, we stick with it because it's time for the Wednesday Night War segment. So we're talking about AEW, what they got going up for Dynamite, and obviously then we're flip-flop to NXT and see what they're coming up this week. So what have you got for Dynamite?
So for Dynamite this week, the one of the main matches I've got so far is Sean Spears will face Scorpio Sky. Now this match was supposed to happen last week, but sadly it was cancelled due to the fact that Scorpio Sky had to isolate.
Yeah.
So this is a feud that that has been both on Dynamite and Dark over the last several weeks. Both men are great talents. Both are great athletes. And I think this, if Tony Khan puts the time and money into this feud, it could really generate into something good.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you spoke about it as being part of maybe the pay-per-view, and obviously it got bumped off.
Yeah. Sadly, it didn't get put to the pay-per-view, which is I'm a bit irritated about. But so you win some, you lose some. That's what happens. Also, yes, MJF and Wardlow will have their induction to the Inner Circle this week. Obviously, MJF defeated Chris Jericho. So by that rule, right, he gets him and Wardlow will join the Inner Circle. What will happen though? I don't know. Will it be some sort of big setup? We'll find out this week. Also, Cody Rhodes. Yeah, not just Cody. Cody Rhodes. He has the full rights to his name now. Cody Rhodes will have his first promo since losing the TNT Championship. So what's on his mind? We'll find out.
It seems like they're going into a heel direction with Cody.
Yeah, kind of. It's like they can't make up their mind with it. Also, on Dynamite this week, we will see women's action. Tay Conti versus Red Velvet. In Tay Conti's corner will be her friend Anna Jay, who represents the Dark Order. And in Red Velvet's corner will be Brandy Rhodes.
Ooh, so they're continuing on with Brandy Rhodes kind of being involved with the women's division.
Yeah, well, Brandy Rhodes has been having a bit of a feud with Anna Jay for the last few months now, ever since the whole Nightmare Family versus Dark Order thing spewed over a couple months ago, if you remember. Also, now this one I'm really looking forward to here. We will see the rematch of Rey Fenix versus Penta El Zero Miedo. It was back by popular demand after that match they had a couple of weeks ago in the tournament. So brother against brother once again.
My question to that though is why? Like they're a tag team, aren't they?
They are a tag team, but there's been rumors about ever since Eddie Kingston got started this family. There's been rumors about is there favoritism amongst the Lucha Brothers from Eddie Kingston, that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens between the two of them in this match. I'm surprised they faced each other many times before over the years in Mexico and Lucha Underground, etc., etc.
Yeah, fair point.
And finally, the Butcher and the Blade will be taking on the Natural Nightmares of Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall in a bunkhouse match. Now, I've been looking at what a bunkhouse match is. Basically, the bunkhouse match, it's basically like a giant street fight, but you're wearing like jeans and cowboy boots. Basically.
Yeah, it's cowboy.
Dusty Rhodes did a lot of these things when he was young, when he was alive.
In the NWA, WCW, I think.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can expect weapons and maybe a little bit of blood.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to be blood. It's got the Rhodes in it. Okay, interesting. They've stacked the card. On the flip side of things, NXT have just said we're having 2 title matches. At the moment, they've revealed that Johnny Gargano will defend his North American Championship against an unknown person. And they've also announced that the tag team titles on the line as Bizango get their rematch against Oney Larkin and Danny Burch. I think they've interestingly put that Gargano always has lost a title on his first defense. He's basically like Sasha Banks, essentially.
Yeah, I hate it when they do that. It shows that they don't really have much faith in their champion if they do something like that. And sadly, they've done it to a few people in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that he wins, unless it's someone big returning. But I don't know who would return that would be big enough to do that. McAfee's feuding with the Undisputed Era, so it's not going to be any of those. Karrion Kross is still very much injured.
Very much. Yeah, you don't get over an injury like that with only a couple of months. You just don't.
No. I'm not too sure if it's going to be. But that's going on that channel at least. I think an interesting week. But that's the Wednesday Night War.
Before we move on to the next thing, there is something that's been brought to my attention the last couple of days. Now, this sadly is a bit of sad news. It's been announced early this week that AEW star and WWE Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts has been diagnosed with COPD lung disease. So I don't know how this is going to affect his role in AEW, but more importantly, the man's health. It's going to be a hard thing. But this time, I think here at the Gorilla Press, we want to try and wish Jake Roberts all the best in hopefully his recovery.
Yeah, love Jake. Love Jake. A lot of respect for Jake.
Yeah, one of the greatest of all time.
And a good kind of redemption story as well. But finally, though, we come to you again as Wrestle Kingdom. We've got a couple of matches announced.
Wrestle Kingdom put on some of the best matches of the year. Sometimes, a few years ago it was AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. A couple of years ago we had Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. So we're going to get great matches no matter what. Now, the first match that's been announced for Wrestle Kingdom is Kazuchika Okada will take on the United Kingdom's very own Will Ospreay.
That's a huge match, isn't
it? I think this is Will Ospreay for the last few years has been in the juniors division over there. I think for him to take on Okada, this is showing that they're his move up. You know what I mean, to try and get into that heavyweight status. And Okada basically is the man over there in Japan currently.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that's a statement, to take him on. These next two matches, they kind of coincide with each other because Wrestle Kingdom will be split into two nights, like it was this year as well. So on night one, Tetsuya Naito will put both of his titles on the line, the World Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. He'll defend those against Kota Ibushi. Okay. And the winner of that match will go on to night two to defend both the belts once again against Jay White.
I guess obviously this case where they want those two big matches, regardless. So I guess it makes sense. It makes sense. I know Jay White's someone who's been kind of really rising up the ranks over there for a long time. So
but then you have someone like two people like Naito and Ibushi who have been around for a long time and have established themselves as great stars.
I guess as well with them both obviously being from the territory as well. It's a case of wanting to please those fans as well as obviously the international. So it's
of course
it all links in, doesn't it? That's good. Obviously, that's 2 months away, though, isn't it? It's in January, isn't it? Start of January.
It's in January. They normally do it around about, like I said, the early part of January, like a couple of days after the New Year. Mostly it's January 4th.
But that's the news for this week. Join us next week, of course, when we will be having more Gorilla Press stuff, more news pieces, as well as the big one for the winter, at least. Anyway, Survivor Series predictions. You'll be live with Porter, and of course with us too. Thanks as always. Please like, share, and subscribe. I've been Lucas Jackson, joined by Champagne Charlie. You've been watching the Gorilla Press.
Thank you.